And welcome back to Sports the Nemo Way, the George Gervin episode. The 6'7", 180-pound shooting guard is a zero-time champ, zero-time MVP. He's a 9-time All-Star, 7-time All-NBA, playing 10 years in the NBA after being the 40th pick in the draft, and he is a Hall of Famer with career NBA averages of 26, 4, and 2 on 51% shooting. And as I am the only one of us who doesn't have George Gervin on our list, I will be going first. First off, to get this out of the way, the Iceman is one of the greatest nicknames and posters, hands down, no contest of all time. I love the nickname the Iceman, and the poster of him sitting on the ice throne is one of the coolest things ever. So, that being said, and I really dig guys that refer to themselves in the third person, which George Gervin also did that. The Iceman likes. Anyway, I view the Iceman as the 1970s version of AI. He's a dominant scorer with a high usage rate, a terrible defender. He struggled to get along with others. He's a bad deep shooter. Didn't like to practice, turned the ball over too much. Although he was more efficient than AI, and AI was a superior passer. So that being said, that is my opening statement on George Gervin, the AI of 1970s. Which will lead us to Willard, who, where'd you say you had him, Willard?
I have him at 34.
34 overall. Where's he at on your shooting guard list?
I believe numbers either 6 or 7. I believe 7.
All right. What do you got to say about old George Gervin?
Well, one, I would agree that Iceman is a badass nickname. Personally, I would honestly say it might be number 1. I think that's the coolest NBA nickname maybe of all time. And it's, just straight gangster. I love it. But I think George Gervin was a great player. Obviously known for his scoring, and was just a flat out dominant scorer. And some of the stuff Alex said is probably somewhat true, but if you're going to have some other players on your list, then I feel like, but excluding George Gervin, I find a little ridiculoso. For example, I'm going to name off some players that we all have on our list in a different variety. Players such as Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady, James Harden, Allen Iverson, Adrian Dantley, all players that put up tremendous scoring stats, but had limited postseason success and some other issues, depending on who we're talking about. But I think you can make the argument that George Gervin might be the best out of all those guys, except maybe one or two of them. So I feel like if you're going to put a lot of players like that on your list, you got to put George Gervin on your list. And another thing, when I kind of thought was kind of interesting, when he jumped from the looks of it, when he jumped from ABA to NBA, he got better. He got quite a bit better when the competition combined. He got more efficient and his points went up.
Scoring went up when he made the move.
Yeah, and he got more efficient, much more efficient, actually. Rebounds went down, but I feel like everyone that makes that jump, the rebounds go down.
It does look that way anyway.
But yeah, he actually got a lot better. His efficiency went way up. His scoring goes up. And we're just talking about one of the greatest all-around scorers ever. I looked up a bunch of lists just to kind of compare and get an idea of what was going on with other people's opinions. I believe he made every list I looked up. I believe the most notable one being ESPN. I believe he was either 6th or 7th on ESPN's shooting guard list, which I think is just about right. I can definitely see if you want to argue him not being one of the top tier shooting guards, but I definitely think he belongs on the list. At least somewhere in the top 10. But I'll leave it at that for right now.
All right. And to be honest with you, I don't remember. It's Drew.
I'll go.
Drew is next.
I have
And
him at 26-6, so same as ESPN.
Fair enough.
Like everyone else, I love the nickname Iceman. And one thing that I remember about George Gervin, probably one of the first things I learned about him, my dad told me, is probably the closest scoring championship of all time. Him and
David Thompson.
David Thompson. Was it David Thompson scores what, 50?
73.
Okay, never mind. He scored 73. I mean, and then he goes out and drops 60 more so he can win it. I'm pretty sure. I mean, that's just insane. First of all, how close that was all season, and then for on the final night, hey, I got to go score 60 to beat
Thompson.
I can't. I'm drawing a blank again. I'm like, that's just nuts. I'm sure the 60 points didn't hurt the team at all. I mean,
let's hope not.
Yeah, I hope they won that game. But so I think that's what stands out with me with George Gervin, just being able to do that, saying, hey, I'm going to go out, score 60 so I can beat Thompson. So, yeah, that's my opening statement on Gervin.
Not to change people here, but there's a similar story with David Robinson on the last game of the season. He goes out and scores 70 to win the scoring title in the last game of the season. But I don't remember who he was competing against.
I was going to ask. I can't remember who he beat.
But I've heard stories about that they were just like, it wasn't even a close game. He stayed in with people so he could keep going.
Could very well.
I'm pretty sure I've heard that somewhere.
I'll while the next person goes, I'll look up who he beat with that set.
Okay. Go ahead, Drew.
I was just gonna ask one question. You said he's the 1970s Allen Iverson, but you have AI on your list. I'm just wondering why you don't have the 1970s version.
Because AI played in a better area of basketball, so I give AI the nod.
Okay. I was just wondering when you said that. I was just
check that off my little write down idea.
All right, so
Ray was already writing down questions.
That moves us to Uncle Doug.
Yeah. Well, I'll expand on Drew's story just a little bit.
Your rankings.
Same as Drew, 26-6.
So
Same
identical
as ESPN.
rankings.
He did score 63 in that final game to win the scoring title over Thompson. He actually missed his first 6 shots. Told his teammates, forget it. We're just going to play the game. And his teammates said, no, keep shooting. And in the second quarter, he came out and put in 33 points, which was at the time a record. He had 53 at the half. And the 63 points he scored in 33 minutes. He set out a large portion of the second half because they were winning. And once he hit 63, he went to the bench for quite a stretch of time. I do remember telling you that story, Drew. You're talking rebounds and assists. Unfortunately, George wasn't going to. He's not top 250 in assists. He did make like 226 on rebounds, but, that wasn't his thing. He scored. He is 17th all-time on the scoring list. His average is 11th. Now, that average is the lower average, the 25-1, I believe.
Yeah, okay, so...
26-2 is NBA.
Yeah, I'm just going to put this disclaimer out there before we go any further. This is another guy that played NBA and ABA. Right. When I read off his averages earlier, that was only his NBA statistics. But when the thing we go off of all the time is basketball. I don't know why I'm pointing at it like they can see me. Is Basketball Reference, which combines their stats, ABA and NBA. So there may be some slight differences. I think his ABA, when the ABA is included, he goes down a point per game, up a rebound a game. I believe that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Something like that. So they're fairly similar, but just slightly off.
Real quick before we continue, before we get too far away, David Robinson had that giant performance to beat Shaq for the scoring title.
Oh, okay.
So, but yes,
cool.
You can continue.
If you were listening to the last episode, you heard Ray's trivia question about scoring titles. Everybody said MJ, I think, except me. And I said George Gervin because I had been preparing for this. He was actually the first guard to win 3 scoring titles in a row. And only Wilt and MJ have more scoring titles than the Iceman. He was an amazing scorer around the basket. He could score on just about anybody. And I love to watch his finger roll. It was a pretty cool move. So I've got other stuff, but we'll get to that later.
All right. So bringing up I guess it would be the front of the rankings is Ray, who has him ranked what now, Ray?
I have him at 22.
22 overall. And do you know where he's at on your shooting guard list?
Not currently, but I can read my little speech here, and then y'all can kind of dime in, and then I'll get
Sounds
back to
good.
you.
Sounds good, buddy.
All right. George Gervin. Just cold.
Oh, yeah.
So smooth. That hook shot, that finger roll, his jump shot. He could score on anyone, anywhere, at any time. I guess that's why he was a 4-time scoring champ. One of the few ABA players to transition to the NBA and shine and improve. Might not have a title, but it was stiff competition back in those days. It was either the Lakers or the Celtics winning titles. But the Iceman was still one of the most impressive players in that era. That's why I got him on my list.
All right. So let me make sure I remember this correctly. We have him at Wade has him at 7, and you two have him at 6. And then Ray has him at 5.
Got him on
So
5,
again, like last episode, pretty similarly ranked right there in the middle of the shooting guard episodes. Now, I know I've mentioned Mark a few times on the episode. Mark says anybody that has George Gervin ranked lower than 3rd on their shooting guards list doesn't know what they're talking about. So apparently we're all terrible.
Sorry, Mark.
But Mark will be here in a couple episodes to talk about some craziness. So we'll see. But that being said, George Gervin is another guy that falls into a certain category for me. I don't care about winning category. So I have just a list over here of quotes from either, some of them are from teammates, some of them are from Gervin himself, things like that. Just kind of paint a picture of George Gervin. A teammate of Gervin's is quoted in Sports Illustrated as saying, "The only way to stop ice is to hold practice." This is also in that same Irving or SI issue. It's just thrown in there really like cavalier and casually, like it's just like, hey, like there's this too. Like Gervin is habitually late for workouts and sometimes doesn't show up at all. In 1981, the Spurs gave him a contract extension, which was in the millions, by the way. It was like 6 years, $3.9 million.
Wow, that's really good back then.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
But because they were so scared that he didn't care about winning basketball games, they put in his contract incentives, $14,000 for every win after 35 wins.
Okay.
And after game one of his teammates was giving an interview, and at the end of his interview said, which they won the first game of the season, he said, 1 down, 81 to go. And George Gervin, who was walking by, responded with, no, 1 down, 35 to go. Gervin, this is a quote from himself, "From now on, when I get my 40s, I'm going to make sure we win too." This is right after he got his new contract with the incentives to win basketball games. Kevin Greavy, who was another NBA player who played for the Bullets. If Gervin, this is a quote from him, "If Gervin doesn't get the ball for a while, he goes into a lull and he stops running and stops working. That was after the Bullets had beat them in the playoffs one year. Gervin, again, another Gervin himself, he was asked about his legacy about not winning. And his response was, "I'm perfectly happy being known as George Gervin scoring machine because in this game, that's the person that gets ahead." So that's my list of quotes by or about George Gervin.
Very nice. I enjoyed those.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The ones George Gervin does himself are very funny. And if you go in and read, like, the whole things, him referring to himself in the third person the whole time and like, saying stuff is really funny. Like,
Does he refer to himself as George Gervin? He just says, the Iceman does what he wants. So
well, he refers to himself as George Gervin, but every once in a while, he'll say ice, or he doesn't. I don't think I ever saw where he said Iceman. He'll say ice.
I was just wondering which one he used.
But mainly what I saw was George. But he also used both his names. He never said like George. It was always George Gervin. So he'd use both his names as well. Like I said, very entertaining. It made me chuckle quite a few times.
I would definitely be laughing if I was in that press conference with.
So now hearing some of these quotes, looking at the stats, so on and so forth. Does anybody disagree with my AI comparison?
I see it a little bit more now that you've said the quotes. I see what you're saying. At first, I was like, how's he going to compare him to AI? I figured it was coming somewhere, but I was wondering.
Statistically, they're very similar.
Yeah, does the AI average like one more point?
AI's got a point on him. He's got 2 rebounds on AI. AI's got 3 assists on him. AI's got a steal on him. And then Gervin's a much better shooter from the field. AI's got like 4% on him on 3-point. And then Gervin's a better free throw shooter. They both average 3 turnovers a game.
So, yeah, very similar. Just give or take one here, a couple there.
Yeah, they both, so.
I mean, I'm not saying you're technically wrong, but I mean, physically, I have them both on my list.
Me
Same,
too.
yeah.
I have AI higher.
Yeah, I think I have AI higher too. So,
I mean, AI is 17 total. I got
I have AI ahead of.
I got Gervin at 22. So I mean,
You have AI at 17, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't realize you had him that high.
I have AI at 21.
21.
Then I got Dwayne Wade right behind AI.
I have Dwayne Wade ahead of AI.
Yeah, so do I. The rest of all of us do.
I figured. I've definitely Wade. I was pretty sure.
Did you hear this, Wade?
What?
These guys, Ray has AI at 17 and Drew has him at 21.
Yeah, they're fucking high.
Not tonight.
Oh, man.
He is a scrub.
Oh, I wasn't going to go that far.
Right now we're arguing with Alex about why AI and not Gervin, because they're. I'm guessing.
What did you say? I'm sorry. I was
were
in the
just-
restroom for all the listeners.
Because we were just arguing about like not really arguing, but just comparing stats. Like one, like AI has 1 more point, Irvin has 2 more rebounds, stuff like that. I'm like they're pretty similar. So I'm guessing. Before Alex even says, I'm guessing the era of basketball. Like
I said that
as well.
earlier.
Yeah.
Pretty much what I said, Wade, was statistically they're very similar. They had similar attitude problems, and they're both shooting guards. I'm not gonna say they look alike or anything stupid like that, but that's where I went with it.
Okay. I mean, era though wise, I feel Gervin played late 70s into the early mid 80s, which is the Bird Magic era.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
I feel like, and we've discussed the 80s being maybe the greatest era ever, depending on different people's opinions. But so, I feel like his era is actually pretty good, pretty solid, compared to the early to mid 2000s with AI. For me, really, AI is just a lot more inefficient. Almost 10% difference in field goal percentage. I think it's like 8 or 9, somewhere in that vicinity.
I believe it's 9.
Free throw percentage, again, George Gervin beats him by quite a bit. 3-point percentage. I think AI gets him by a couple percentage points. But
Yeah,
Gervin,
Gervin's 3-point percentage wasn't
Yeah,
great.
it's like 4%, but
yeah.
they're both terrible. So
Yeah, and Gervin only shot like a half a 3-pointer a game. So.
Right, yeah. That wouldn't
really
yeah,
really
and believe it or
difference.
not, I was surprised by this looking at it today. AI shot almost 4 a game for his career.
Back then, that was quite. In the early 2000s, that's quite a bit.
Yeah. I mean, he shot everything a lot, but I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, he shot almost 4 a
Oh,
game.
He definitely shot everything a lot.
He was the Carmelo Anthony of the 90s.
I mean, they played together at one
They
point.
did. They did play together, and they had a couple They played a couple playoffs together, I believe.
Yeah, and they traded AI and made it 2 rounds farther.
Yeah, they brought in Chauncey Billups,
Chauncey.
and they went to the Western Conference Finals.
Oh, Chauncey got him.
And then not AI, but Melo decided to leave and never had success again.
Indeed.
Wah, wah.
But even outside of AI, I mean, you have T-Mac and Vince on your list, correct?
Correct.
Trying to think of other different shooting guards some of us have. We've talked about Reggie. I mean, I don't think we need to go back down that road again. I think
Not tonight.
most of us admitted that he's probably going to come off our list.
Ray's so mad.
He's just shaking his head.
But
So devastating. But it is your list, so
Right.
whatever.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like Gervin is a better and more efficient scorer than a lot of those guys, and that's mainly what those guys did. And a lot of those guys also had no postseason success, so I'm kind of up and down on that. I mean, I know Vince, being my favorite player, had limited playoff success. T-Mac literally had none. And who else did I name?
So, yeah, Gervin didn't win
Oh.
any titles. It was a tough
Yeah.
era. But he also, I mean, can you think of anybody that he played with?
Oh, I don't know.
He definitely didn't play with any superstars. I
No,
mean, he had some guys. I looked earlier. That's why I'm saying this. He had some multi-time All-Stars. He had a couple the power forward for his team made a few All-NBAs.
Larry Keenan
Yeah, Larry Keenan. Yeah.
and
But-
Billy Pulse or something like that was
Yeah, he had
the third. It was a big white.
Did he play with
Center.
them in their prime, or
That was when
Were
he
they just-
first
Yeah.
got like to San Antonio, like in the late 70s.
Yeah, and then he best player on his team for other than him, obviously, for a while was some guy named Silas. It wasn't Paul Silas.
Yeah, I don't remember
It was
him.
a Silas, and then Artis Gilmore came over for a few years in the
At
late,
the very end, yeah.
late and like early '80s or late '70s, somewhere in there. Gilmore was there for like 4 seasons.
Okay. So yeah, there wasn't, and now he was twice second in MVP voting,
Mm-hmm.
77, 78. He scored 27, 2, 5, and 3.7. Lost to Bill Walton, who scored 18.9 and had 13 rebounds a game and 5 assists. And I believe that's the year Walton and Portland won the title. And then the next year, he upped it, scored 29.6, 5 rebounds, and 2.7 assists, and lost to Moses Malone, who averaged 24-8, 17-6 rebounds, 1.8 assists. I mean, Moses had a year.
When Moses
mean-
wanted to.
And Gervin's doing all this while shooting over 50%.
Right. Yeah, that's
Which
the thing. He
is-
shot over 50%.
Yeah, he has
they
a
were-
run there where he's putting up 27 to 33 points per game, all shooting over like 50%.
Yeah, he peaked out at 32.3 points, 8.5 rebounds, and 3.7 assists are his peaks.
So I have a question. When we talk about, well, no, I shouldn't say we, but from my experience, when general basketball fans talk about like all-time signature moves and such, the dream shake comes up, the sky hook comes up, the crossover comes up, whatever. Watching highlights, George Gervin's finger roll is deadly, but when you think of a finger roll, you think at the rim.
Right.
He's in these highlights routinely shooting his finger roll from like 12, 15 feet.
Yeah, he could finger roll it from quite a ways. I mean, he also could finish around the rim, but he also did it from distance,
Right,
like you said.
which is, kind of asinine to think about. But why don't you think it's brought up in these conversations? I don't ever hear like like we talked about. I don't remember which episode we talked about where Nick Wright had his list of greatest go-to moves in NBA history, and like LeBron's, I don't know, something
Some
stupid
bullshit.
from something stupid from LeBron was on there, and we were all like, "What is that? We don't even know what that is." But
yeah.
George Gervin's finger roll wasn't on it.
Right.
You know, like I don't
Shocker, Nick Wright favorite LeBron.
right, and I'm not
Imagine
even
that.
I'm not even trying to say like favorite for LeBron. I'm just saying like Gervin didn't even appear on it. Like his finger roll seems to be a pretty dynamic weapon for one of these all-time great scorers. You would think it would be like right up there with the sky hook and the dream shake and those types of things.
Well, back in the day, we did talk about it, but I think it's more of a modern thing. And I was reading some of the stuff I was reading when I was doing this research. Say he's one of the guys that doesn't get nearly the credit that the guy I was listening to said he deserves because of the whole ABA NBA thing. Because a lot of times when they look at all-time scoring and this and that, if they don't put the ABA stuff in there, these guys don't come up on those lists.
But it's crazy. He legit gets better when they
Right,
go, which
yeah.
is I don't think have we seen that before?
No, I don't think we have. We always talk about how they got worse.
Yeah, his field goal percentage goes up and his points per game, which is that's what he did. He scored. He's a scorer, and he gets quite a bit better, which is kind of fascinating.
Part of this is a question, and part of it is knowledge. But the scoring going up, I don't know if surprises me overly much, simply for the fact he played with less talent. The efficiency, yes, that's a crazy thing. But I mean, like part of his time in the ABA, he played with Doc.
Yeah, he did for a little while. First couple of years, I think, he was with Dr. J.
Yeah, and like at that point, Doc is considered the greatest player in the world. You're not taking his shots away, I think my computer just died. Anyway, anybody else have anything to say about George Gervin right now?
Well, I kind of have a bit of a question. I mean, I know it's kind of assumed that he was a really bad defender, so I kind of looked it up because I didn't watch him play. I don't know, but I know that's kind of the consensus. I can't talk right, but he was a bad defender. But I got to looking at stuff, and there was some stuff that kind of said that he really wasn't an awful defender, that he was actually kind of a decent defender. And
He
was having
blocked quite a few shots for
said he
a
was
guard.
an underrated two-way player. There was a Spurs website that did the top 15 greatest Spurs defenders of all time, and he was number 7. They said he was an underrated two-way player that was very good at turning defense into offense in the fast break, and was actually his length and athleticism actually affected a lot of players. And his defensive win shares, which analytics, that stuff is nowhere close to being perfect, but it's something to look at. His defensive win shares are positive. They're in the positive. They're decent. Actually, when I was looking up him and Chris Paul's stats, their defensive win shares are actually very similar, and Chris Paul is actually considered a very elite defender. But defensive win shares can be kind of a flawed stat, but it's just stuff I looked at. I didn't watch him play, so I don't know exactly how great his defense was or how bad it was, per se.
I don't either. Obviously, I didn't watch him play either.
But isn't it kind of I've heard a lot of people kind of assume that it was just he was a bad defender.
I read over and over and over again today he was a bad defender. And a lot of people seem to point to he didn't want to play. He didn't even attempt to play defense. Like he would just stand around and wait to get the ball back. That's what I'm reading. Again, I'm not saying it as fact. I'm just saying that's what I was reading today.
He got over a steal and a block per game. What did he say? Was he 6'7"?
Yeah, that's what it's listed
6'7".
at 6'7".
Did he have a long wingspan? Real long
He had
wingspan.
pretty long arms.
So I don't know. I don't really know. It's a tricky one.
So you think Gervin and his weight issues? Do you think that hurts him later on?
No. If he can get away with it in the 70s and 80s, he can probably get away with it whenever. In my opinion.
Yeah.
And those are going to be the years they're going to push you and hit you. So,
yeah.
if you can get away with it in the 80s, you're going to get away with it in probably any other era.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah. I agree with that.
I don't see any problem with him being 183.
How good were the Dr. J Gervin teams in the ABA? Have we looked that up?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm thinking because if Dr. J was the greatest player in the world, and he had George Gervin too,
Yeah.
shouldn't they have won an ABA title?
They lost in the first round of the playoffs.
Okay.
Well, I mean, they're losing to Pacer teams. So just get that out
Yeah,
of the way.
Dr. J and George Gervin and the 72-73. They lost in the first round of the playoffs to the Kentucky Colonels.
Okay.
72-73, I think, was
Freaking Colonel Sanders.
Pacer year.
The Kentucky Colonels had Artis Gilmore,
Yeah.
Dan Issel.
Yeah.
And
Two of the
then-
highest scoring centers in the ABA.
That's the only two names I
So
recognize.
it wasn't
on
Gilmore.
here.
Gilmore was a bad boy, though. He was a
Yes. And Dan Issel was surprisingly, I mean, he could play power forward too, but a lot of times he played center.
72-73. Gilmore averaged 20 points, 17 rebounds, 3 assists on 56% shooting. And Issel averaged, if this page will come up, averaged 30 points,
There you
11
go.
rebounds, and 2 assists on 48% shooting.
Yeah, so they took it down low on him. And
Yeah, I would say Gervin and Jay. Dr.
I wasn't expecting to see Dan Issel average 30. That took me. He averaged 30
Yeah.
back-to-back seasons.
right, he was really good in the ABA, and he was pretty good in the NBA, but I think he was older. I don't think he had as many seasons in the NBA as some of these other guys. So you don't hear as much about him. But when he came into the NBA, I think he played for Denver. And
He played 9 seasons in the NBA, all for Denver.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, his first season in the NBA, he was 22-8, and then 21-10, and then he had a down season. But then he came back with 23-8, 22-8, 23-7. Looks like his rebounding numbers took a dive, kind of like we said earlier.
Right.
Everybody seems to, but his scoring numbers were at least pretty good for a while. And then his last season, he averaged 12 and 4.
What was the average in his prime in the NBA points wise?
The NBA
Yeah.
looks like 22-8.
Oh, I mean that's still pretty damn good.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, but yeah, he went 30-13, 30-11, 27-11, 25-10 his first 4 years in the ABA.
yeah. So, yeah, you put he and Gilmore together, that's a pretty potent front line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Evidently, George wasn't strong enough to push him out of there.
George probably shouldn't be
so-
guarding.
Dr. J.
George and Dr. J shouldn't be guarding him to begin with.
Yeah, George Gervin's guarding those boys. They in trouble.
They got problems.
I
And
see
that,
why.
In that exact series, Issel averaged 31-9, while Gilmore averaged 17-11. Some guy named Rick Mount would average 20.
Rick.
And then the Squires, Doc averaged 29-9, and Gervin averaged 18-7, and some guy named Jim Eakins averaged 24-11.
Oh, yeah, Jim.
Him, I don't know.
Jim.
Now, the Rick Mount I've heard of. He was supposed to be a really good shooter out of the state of Indiana. I'm surprised Ray doesn't know him.
No.
Rick Mount.
No.
I don't think he played for the Pacers. But
No,
he's
if you don't
really
play
good.
the
You are
Pacers, I
correct.
really
He
don't
was
know.
born in Lebanon, Indiana. He went to Purdue,
Yeah.
and he has
Boilermaker.
he didn't have a very long career.
Boilermaker.
I don't remember what happened to him.
To be a Boilermaker.
He only played 7 years of pro basketball, all in the ABA.
Drew Brees went to Purdue.
Career
Brees?
averages of
Did he?
11 and
He did.
11, 1 and 2.
One me and Wade
So,
side
not
conversation
a
over
great
here.
career.
Greatest Purdue
Never
player.
great career.
Probably is.
Who the fuck else went there?
We're gonna start these conversations.
Okay, well, now I see
All right,
why
we'll do
they
our
didn't
side
win a
combo
title
where they're
that
talking
year.
about fucking ABA shit.
Yep.
Oh, they also had. Oh no, never mind. Sorry, I misread that. They had a guy on their team named Fatty Taylor. And the only reason I know his name is because he's the one that gave him the nickname Iceman.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome.
because he said that George Gervin never broke a sweat in a basketball game.
The Ice Man.
Look, I'm just going to put this out here, and when you have a team of Mel Daniels, George McGinnis, and Roger Brown, you're not going to beat a whole lot of teams. I mean, the Pacers won 3 titles in the ABA, so suck it, guys.
It was like 3 of how many years was AB around? 7 or 8.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, George
I mean,
McGinnis was.
the Pacers had
He
it
was
locked
good.
down there for a long
Did
time.
McGinnis, was he a Hall of Fame NBA player?
He played with the 76ers. He played with Dr. J in
Yeah,
Philly.
he's in the Hall.
Is he?
So,
Hmm.
yeah, McGinnis was good. I remember him.
But they include the ABA in Hall of Fame status because they also include European and college and all that stuff in your
Yeah.
Hall status. So, I mean, if you include the ABA stuff, George McGinnis's career averages are 20, 11, and 3.
Yeah.
Damn.
20 and 11 career average is nothing to shake a stick at by any
Mm-mm.
means.
Well,
No.
I mean, it is called Naismith's Basketball Hall of Fame, not just the
NBA,
NBA.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All I was saying was we had already talked about how they include foreign and college stuff in your Hall of Fame status.
Right.
So, like, I wanted to just say that they also include ABA stuff in that because it's just all basketball stuff. But yeah, McGinnis played with Doc once they came to the NBA.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They played together for a few years there at least.
So, yeah, it was a pretty interesting time when all that talent came flooding into the NBA.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're off subject.
Yeah.
Like most episodes.
Well, I'm just going to make an announcement here. I said a long time ago that there was somebody that was going to come up in an episode that I forgot. And that guy is George Gervin.
Well, I've been waiting.
I know Wade knows. Yeah, Wade knew. I feel like that's why Wade didn't come at me so hard because there was a few times Wade had this look on his face like I really want to rip you right now, but I know you're going to say you forgot. So, yes, George Gervin is the guy I forgot. So,
Okay.
Okay, well, when
that-
I saw your list, I'm like, how does Alex not have the Ice
Yeah,
Man
'cause-
on his
yeah.
list? I was really
I was
thrown for a
shocked,
loop.
too.
And then you even said, "Oh, don't worry, guys, I've got a plan." I'm like,
well, I will say this. I haven't mentioned it in quite some time, but I had a really big, like, two or 3 page George Gervin argument, and it was in my notebook,
Oh,
the one that got left in the rental car.
okay.
So, and to be honest with you, I made my argument today because I was still pissed off that I had to redo all that work, and I was like, you know what, I'm just not going to redo it all.
Yeah.
So this was my argument for today. I just put down a whole bunch of quotes, said some things about AI. The only thing I haven't read off my list was Gervin's playoff record is 31-41. He lost 10 of 18 series he played in. He was 0-4 in Game 7s, including a blown 3-1 series lead to the Bullets in 79. It's one of 13 teams to ever blow a 3-1 lead. So that's the only thing on my thing that I hadn't read off already.
I mean, yeah. I was just going to, if you're going to put Reggie, Vince, AI, and T-Mac on your list, I feel like there's no way you can't put Gervin on your list, to be completely
No, like,
honest.
it wasn't like I just, like, omitted him once. He never made my research list. You know what I mean? So, like, once my research list was established, I didn't look at anything else.
You just
And
never
I don't
popped
know.
in your head.
Yeah, and, like, so I don't know why he didn't make that.
Yeah.
But then, like, at the end, when I had because I had all these pages for positions all written out, and, like, I sit there and compared stuff and did all this stuff, and Gervin wasn't even on it. So there wasn't like I compared him and, wiped him out or maybe overlooked him. Like, he's not even, I still have it. No, it's not. It's in that notebook.
Right.
But he didn't even make it. So I couldn't even compare his stats and his awards and stuff to everybody else because he wasn't even there to look
Wasn't
at.
there to look
So
at. Yeah.
it was
Well,
a
that's understandable.
it was a complete omission on my part. So not to be anticlimactic, but yes, George Gervin will make my shooting guard list.
It makes me feel a lot
There you
better.
go.
At the
Yeah,
at the
I feel a lot
end
better.
of this, where he will be overall, I don't. That's a whole nother
sure.
thing to get into. But yes, George Gervin will make my list.
And so will James Harden, right?
I don't know about that.
James Harden? Isn't that right, Drew?
James.
Everyone's putting
James
James Harden
Harden.
on the list. Oh, yeah.
Who cares if he travels? James.
This has been a roller coaster of an episode for me. It started off with Alex just like, okay, throwing something weird at me, and then all of a sudden it's like, he's gonna make my list. Like, what the hell just happened to this episode?
The 1970s AI is on the list.
You want me to continue your roller coaster?
Yeah, I want to.
Reggie's off the
list. He's gonna replace Reggie.
Shut it down now. What is going on
We
here?
still have to do trivia. No shutting it down.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So Gervin on, Reggie off.
Reggie gone.
Kiss my ass.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Well, I haven't found my replacement yet, but I'm working on it.
It better not be Reggie. You're out too.
Oh,
Oh,
man.
yeah. Reggie's probably coming off my list too, but Drew.
Unfortunately.
Damn it, guys. Man,
I
I
will-
got
I
a good
will-
argument for this one.
I will say though, there's been some compelling arguments that have made me think, and I hate to say it, but because I argued very vehemently against this person, mainly a lot of it out of fun, really, but Wade's Kawhi argument made me think.
Oh, yeah.
I was seriously flirting with the idea of adding Kawhi to my small forward list, and I was looking at my small forward list, and I was like, who should I take off, so on and so forth. And then he blew out his knee in the playoffs, and I'm like, no, this is over now. I can't add him to my list because now he's going to miss a whole season, and he,
He's just teasing you, Wade.
Yeah, and I was like,
He's still on the list.
I was
guys.
like, so
I
now
don't know
Kawhi
why
can't be
we're-
on my
He's
list.
just missing more games.
We're just
Yeah.
being utterly ridiculous at the moment.
He's just missing
He's on
more
the
games
goddamn list.
So I
knee
almost-
injury because of Zaza,
I,
You know, since that episode, he's gained another All-Star appearance, another All-NBA appearance.
which is
No,
bullcrap.
it's
Kevin
fine.
Durant to make an All NBA team. Just my
Oh, Kevin
opinion.
Durant only played like 35 games.
yeah, that's true.
You know, I mean, he's on the goddamn list.
Wade just disappeared. I can't hear him.
No, he's good.
You can't hear me?
Oh, there you go. Yeah, no, I just what I said was true. Like I wasn't making that up. It was 100% true, but I was really saying it to give Wade a hard time.
I'll say if you were contemplating it and then he had a nice season after the episode, he should definitely be on the list.
But my biggest argument against Kawhi was his games, and now he's going to miss an entire season.
and he's getting another
And-
year older.
And literally, though, the time where it peaked the most in my head, like I could add Kawhi to my list, I was like, he's like the only superstar left in the playoffs, on his side of the playoffs. He's going to make the finals, and he might get his third chip,
Right,
and we're all going to be like, well, now he's on our list.
And
Anything in other finals
to
MVP.
go along with part of my argument, his playoff stats before he tore his ACL were quite insane. He was shooting like almost 60%, averaging like 29 points per game and like 8 rebounds and 5 assists or something like that. So
He was playing well. I don't know what his stats were, but he was
He
playing
was
well.
playing very well.
It would have been, and
Now,
it
if
would
he-
have been
so
interesting
that
to see
all-time
the
was it Bucks plus
Kawhi,
minus in playoffs?
Giannis.
He's probably still number 3.
Oh, yeah. See them go at it again.
Yeah,
Yeah. Because he did a really nice job on Kawhi earlier.
he did. Yeah,
Who? I missed part of that. What do you guys say?
I
We
said it
wanted
would
to
have
see
been.
Kawhi and Giannis.
Yeah, it would have been
Final.
nice to see a rematch between them in the
That would
playoffs.
have been cool.
Yeah.
Kawhi would have, beat his ass, and we just would have went on with our lives.
Dum-dum-dum. So, yeah, his playoff stats this year.
We're 30 points per game, 2 steals, just under 1 block, 7 rebounds, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 88% from the free throw line, just under 40% from the 3-point line, and shot 57%.
Trash can.
So, I don't want to make this a quiet Leonard episode, but
Let's do it.
why did
Let's not do it. I don't want to do this again.
Why did Kawhi sit in the press box for 3 weeks and not get his surgery if he tore his ACL? Why didn't he just go get his surgery?
Team
I
player.
wondered why they were waiting. I
There
really
was
thought he was coming back.
There was some big debate because the medical staff misdiagnosed him, and he was getting pissed off with the medical staff again. They was,
Well, what is it with Kawhi and medical staff?
I don't know. They
don't have. He
They
didn't have
said
good
something
luck.
about him like spraining his knee, and then it came out
Yeah.
after they lost that he tore his ACL.
Well, but technically a sprain is a partial tear. So, and he didn't really he didn't completely tear his ACL. And I guess telling us and telling him are two different things. Like, what if they tell us it's a sprain and tell him what exactly it is, more in depth? I mean, I don't know. I'm to be honest with you, I'm just getting tired of Kawhi Leonard and drama and like being a little baby. Like,
for fuck's sake!
like
The man doesn't talk. It's all made out of the media.
and that may
Get
be
out of
true.
town.
It may be true. I don't know. I mean, but he did just re-sign for 4 more years in Clipperland. So,
I
him and
bitched
Bo-
about that too.
How old is Kawhi?
He waited too long to sign his contract because it's up to the media when he signs his
I
contract.
mean, I don't give a shit. when
Don't
he's
get
on
me
the
started
video.
on the media.
So stupid.
Kawhi. Oh shit. Kawhi Leonard is 30.
Okay. He's still good.
Does Kawhi like Captain Crunch?
Probably. I
Does
don't know.
he? No.
You can't be eating Captain Crunch and playing basketball. What are you talking about?
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Captain Crunch's Mountain Dew is the breakfast of champions, guys.
Yep.
My dad and Phil before tennis tournaments week, Captain Crunch's Mountain Dew,
Oh
and
my
they won
gosh.
championships. Didn't you, Dad?
We did.
Championship. I love it. So, yeah, now that Kawhi's not going to make anybody's list, who else we want to talk about?
He's on a list. Not only is he on a list, he's moving up.
I think I'm putting Iguodala on instead of Kawhi for his triple single.
Oh, let's not go back to that.
Triple
God.
single.
You put Iguodala on your list, I'm gonna be pissed.
Okay, so
Wait, he's one of the best defensive players of a generation. You get showing the respect. he
the only
deserves.
person better than
Nah.
Iguodala is Draymond Green. I mean, let's be honest. with
Draymond is better than Iguodala.
I mean, we've all taken shots at Draymond during this, or most of us have. But Draymond's going to make the Hall.
Oh yeah, he will.
Oh yeah, he was on
Three
three championship teams.
Yeah.
He's the only person I,
I mean,
know.
he is a good player. It's not like he's complete trash.
He's
but
the only person I
he's
know in the NBA.
Probably a little overrated, but
You
he's
know-
good.
Do you
get a
know?
triple
You guys
double.
want to take a guess at what his career averages are?
Well, I know his points aren't great.
probably 7, 9, 5, and 2.
I'll say. Let me think here. I'll say 12 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists.
I'll go 9, 9, and 7.
I don't even know.
8.8 points per game,
9.
I said 7.
I said 12.
6.9
Oh,
rebounds
I
per
said
game,
6.
I
Yeah.
said 9.
and 5.3 assists per game.
I said 5 assists.
We were pretty close.
Boom.
Wow, 43% from the field,
Yeah.
31 from 3,
Ugh.
and 71 from the line.
Ugh.
And really, like, his percentages have gone down. Like,
Yeah.
he started off his career better.
Right. He could shoot better when he was younger.
Yeah. He, he had the first year they
no,
won the
Ray.
title. He shot like 38% from 3.
Don't do it, Ray. Don't do it.
So you're saying Draymond is Charles Oakley.
Compare Charles Oakley stats to Draymond.
I just watched Ray start typing in Charles. I said, oh no.
I will admit though, Draymond is a very good team defender, and he is a very good passer for his size. I'll
He
give him
is.
credit for that.
I mean, how many power forwards do we know with averaging 5 career
Right.
5 assists for their
It's
career?
probably like
Damn.
5 more than Charles Oakley. I mean,
Draymond's the only person I know that get a triple double. That one of the categories being points. I remember one night it's like 7, 10, 13, and 10. I'm like, you could have just made another 3 and got a quadruple. No, I'm good.
Dude, I just can't get over how their season ended with him just chucking the ball off the backboard from like 3 feet away.
still see it.
Yeah. And he just throws it off the back. Like, he didn't just miss the rim. He missed the box. Like, he missed the whole square. He just slammed it off the backboard.
Just to make it worse, the greatest shooter in the history of the NBA is on his fucking team.
Yeah.
And he decided to do that. Like, nope, Curry, I got it.
That or he's also an NBA basketball player who should be able to make a layup.
He does miss a lot of bunnies.
I'm trying to
I'll give him
remember
that.
who was contesting his shot at the rim, but I'm fairly positive it was a guard.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it was like, here comes Gobert. Like,
It's like scary.
Here's Joe Ingles.
oh, man. But, yeah, I don't know why this turned into us picking on Draymond, but it did.
At the beginning, Wade
Brought up goddamn
Wade.
Iguodala.
I can't, I
There's
can't.
nothing wrong with Iguodala.
His whole one All-Star game for accolades.
He's
is
got
really
a
getting
Finals MVP, Wade,
that shouldn't have been his. We discussed that on.
and we're gonna discuss it again here in a couple weeks.
He should have never sniffed that MVP.
He shut down LeBron single-handedly,
Iguodala is a 3-time champ.
and he's back
Yeah.
with the Warriors.
He is back with the Warriors.
We
yeah.
want Iguodala. That's been going all over TikTok.
Pretty sure he's like a
Oh,
one-time
here we go
All-Star.
with the TikTok.
He is.
I haven't seen
One-time
TikTok in a
All-Star,
while.
3-time
Yeah.
champ, 2-time All-Defense, All-Rookie, and he was a Finals MVP.
Uh-huh.
He was, he was, he was a Finals MVP, man.
He wasn't even the worst
Yeah.
one.
You guys
At least
want
he
to?
averaged
You guys want to guess his career numbers?
Fuck.
5.55.
10, 4, and 3.
I was going to say 10, 5, and 3.
His career numbers are 11, 5, and 4.
We're close.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to take away from Iguodala. At the beginning of his career, he was a much better scorer than he is now.
Yeah.
He had, I mean, when he was in Philly, he went 18, 20, 18, 17. Those are his points per game averages, like 4 or 5 years straight there.
Yeah, he had a role to play in Golden State, and that's what he did. And they
Well,
won.
and when he was the 76ers, he was, for a while, their best player because they really sucked. And, well, he should have been a 2 or a 3 during his prime on a really good team, but instead he ended up being stuck being a 1. And that, yeah, those teams were not very good.
Yeah, I think he played 1 or 2 seasons with AI, and then AI was gone, and then he was their best player. And I was like,
Yeah. Because it was AI for AI. Allen Iverson, Andre Iguodala, both AI.
Oh, yeah. So you want to, Andre Iguodala, his nicknames on Basketball Reference, Iggy, which we all know, A12, I never heard that, but his last one is Dollar Bills with a Z.
Who the fuck called him that?
Steph. I hope it is Steph.
The
That'd be-
ladies in the club.
Yeah. Dollar bills, y'all.
Oh, man.
Guess how many blocks Muggsy Bogues has at 5'3"?
Oh my gosh.
4.
12.
Dad?
7.
Ray?
8.
39.
39.
39
How many year
blocks?
career?
I don't know.
Is that the same size as my mom?
Yeah?
Were they laying on the floor?
Hey, Allen Iverson
Doesn't
once
say-
blocked Shaq. I watched that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Hey,
just-
when you're help side and you can jump, you can get some blocks from time to time. I
Did
mean,
you see Muggsy Bogues' legs? They were huge. He could jump. I'll give him that. He was quick as
I
hell.
bet Spud Webb had some block shots.
Oh, yeah. Spud could get up.
Nate
All right.
Robinson, stuff like that.
Well, we have been all over the place.
Well, as soon as you admitted you forgot George Gervin,
We totally
Yeah,
went off
we're
the
done.
we
map.
pretty much just went way
Yeah.
off
It's
the
trivia
fucking-
As soon, as soon as you
Yeah.
let me start talking about Iguodala and his triple single,
Yeah.
So I think that's the. I guess we'll give our closing statements on George Gervin, and we can move into trivia. So I guess that's me. I like George Gervin. He's the Iceman, which is a great nickname. He does have some flaws in his game, but I do think he's good enough to be on my list. I'm not exactly sure where I would place him, but he will. Like I said, he will be on my list at the end of this. It was a clear omission on my part. And that is my one omission, though. I don't have any. If anybody else is, I'm making a case against. That's where it's not a mistake.
That me?
Yep.
Well, I mean, I think George Gervin, aka the Iceman, was just a bad man, just a bad motherfucker. He could score the basketball. That's what he was good at. One of the greatest scorers of all time. I mean, that's just all there is to it. That's all I got to say.
Drew?
Basically what Wade said. Cool nickname. Basically score whenever he wanted to. Like I said in the scoring title, he wanted the 63 to win. He did it. Even after he went 0 for 6, his teammates still had his back, even though some of the quotes didn't sound the best. They were supporting him, so he got out there and he did it. Team success may not have been the best, but his stats, I think, are definitely good enough to make top 50 list.
Well, if Wilt and MJ are the only two people that have more scoring titles than you, you're on my list.
Well put.
Ray?
You're just a smooth dude, man. Cold as ice. And when there's a movie called 48 Hours that makes me think of you, you gotta be on the list, baby.
The fuck are you talking about?
Look, man, there was a movie called 48 Hours with Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte.
Nick Nolte.
And there was a criminal in these movies called the Iceman. Dude.
Nick Nolte, every time I hear him talk, I just think of someone smoking 18 packs of cigarettes.
Hey, sir.
Oh, God, sit down, Nick. Fuck.
All right. I'm Batman. Well, that is the end of our George Gervin portion of this episode. So now we will move into the trivia portion.
Don't worry, I got my question.
And Drew is ready to go.
Who won the first NBA scoring title?
Shit. I don't know when they started keeping.
Do you want me to give you a year?
No, I don't.
No, don't give the
Okay.
No, I think I got it now. I thought about it a few more minutes.
All right, I got mine.
I got one.
No idea.
Got one, Ray?
No.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right.
I got Mikan.
I also have Mikan. Right.
Ray?
Question mark.
Okay.
Joe Fulks.
Okay, cool.
I know you said earlier that he won 3 straight scoring titles, and I knew he played in the first year of the NBA. So I was like, was it? I just figured it was Mikan.
Yeah.
So nobody got that correct.
I got mine ready. If everybody's ready to rumble.
Go for it.
Who is the first NBA player to win multiple Finals MVP awards?
Oh, crap.
Said the first?
The first to win multiple.
Okay.
And you have to think the MVP, Finals MVP, wasn't always around.
Yeah, I was trying to think of when it was introduced. Wow.
Yeah, that's tough.
Okay, we'll go here. Oh, shit. Here's my eraser.
Mm-hmm. Well, I got to guess.
Yeah, I got one.
I'm good.
No, okay, I got him.
Intrusive.
I'm ready.
Everybody's ready. All right, let's see him.
The man the award is named after.
Okay.
Yep. Russell.
Okay, Ray.
Magic Johnson.
Okay.
Said Hondo.
It is the great Willis Reed in 70 and 73.
Oh, wow. So I'm going to take it they didn't have it in the 60s?
I'm
I guess
guessing
not.
not.
That's why I guessed Hondo, because he was the later on Celtics. I thought he might get
Yeah.
one.
Okay.
Good question, Wade.
Yeah, I like that one.
Who would like to go next?
I'll go ahead.
All right.
All right. Who is the only player to lead the league in field goal shooting percentage one season and in free throw shooting percentage in another season?
That takes out every big guy known the man.
Interesting.
Field goal percentage and then free throw percentage, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Wow.
What the fuck?
If I think of one, the other one kind of goes away. It's
Yeah.
like, guys that have field goal titles can't shoot free throws. And,
That's
like,
I will dumb it down for you guys because this is really a hard question. between the years of 40 and 50.
Oh.
Let me erase my answer then.
Yeah, it's definitely not fucking Steve Nash.
Or Chris Paul.
Oh, man.
Who is the only player to lead the league in field goal percentage one season and free throw shooting percentage in another season within the years of 1940 and 1950?
So, fuck.
God.
Wow.
I got an answer.
I've got.
I should say I've got a guess.
This is pure guess. I'm just trying to think of players from the 40s.
Damn.
I think they said, like on Big Bang Theory, by percentage, the most popular names in the world are like something Mohammed. And that's,
Yeah.
you got to play the percentages here.
Or Lee.
It's like Lee Muhammad or Muhammad Lee or something. I don't
John
know.
Lee Mohammed.
I told you all last episode I'll give you a gimme every once in a while.
We go from a gimme to
I got a guess.
All right, go ahead. Everybody ready?
Yeah.
All right, go
I
ahead.
said Folks.
I said Mikan.
Okay.
I put Mike in.
I said Joe Folks.
Okay. It is Bob Feerick of the Washington Capitals who led the NBA in field goal percentage in 1946 and 47, and in free throw percentage in 1947 and 48 and 48 and 49 seasons.
What was his field goal percentage?
Dude, it don't say it on it.
Dude, Bob sounds like a douche.
I bet it was like 39%.
Yeah, no kidding.
At first, when I said Bob, I said, if he says Pettit, I'm done.
We have no correct answers so far. We're through 3
All right.
questions.
Here, well, you guys might get this one. We'll go with this. Okay. For their career, Wilt had 30.1 points on 54% shooting. Iceman had 26.2 on 51.1. That's 2 of only like 5, 6, 7 guys that did it. That's 1 and 2. Who is number 3? Scoring more than 25 a game on over 50% shooting.
And you need how many guys?
Just number 3. I just gave you 1 and 2. I just want to know who number 3 is.
Okay, got it.
I got one.
I think I'm going to score a point on this one.
You think you are or are
yeah,
not?
I am.
All right, I got one.
Okay.
Shaq.
Put Dominique Wilkins.
Kareem.
I said Dantley.
It's Karl Malone.
Damn it.
Oh.
He averaged 25 points on 51.6% shooting.
Did Dominique average over 25? Or was that
Yeah,
close?
he's
I
got a
think he
couple
did.
30-point seasons.
But I don't think his shooting percentage was over 50%
Oh,
for his
really?
career.
I knew he had a high shooting because he always dunked and had layups. So I don't,
Yeah.
I felt pretty decent with my
Yeah,
Shaq
I thought I
answer.
had a
was
nice
like,
underrated
I felt
answer.
good about Kareem.
I didn't think about Carmelo.
No,
to
when
be
you
honest.
said Kareem, I went, oh, shit. So, I feel you. It was a good answer.
Carmelo should have been an obvious answer, but I just never even thought about
I hate
it.
that feeling. I'm like, hey, this is a good answer. And when they say,
Yeah.
like, oh.
So we're getting shut out tonight so far?
We are.
Everybody,
yeah.
even Wade?
As long as no one breaks into my lead, who cares? I mean,
Well, I will not score tonight. That's fact.
Oh,
now.
it's your question, yeah.
Yep.
what an idiot. He can't even score.
So my
know
question
who's
is,
cheating, Wade.
continuing my renaissance here, this season, the season that just ended, who are the top 2 players in total turnovers?
So total, like
Yes.
not
Yes.
an average.
Not per game, total. Who led the NBA with a number of turnovers? So like 400 or 6,000.
So many people have missed time this year.
That's what I'm saying.
That
I
is
can't-
true.
I wanted to pick a couple guys, but I'm like, ooh,
Um,
they missed games.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ooh,
I,
it's
I-
tricky.
I think
I've
I-
almost written down a couple. Well, I have one written down, but there's a couple guys I've almost written
I think I
down.
got mine too. I'm feeling all right about it.
The player with the most turnovers this season had 312 turnovers.
All right, I got 2 guys.
I got my guys.
Ray, you got it?
Yeah.
Uncle Doug?
Yeah.
All right, what's everybody got?
I have Westbrook and Zach LaVine.
Westbrook and Giannis.
I said Harden and Simmons.
I said Westbrook and Paul.
Oh, okay. Well, Westbrook is correct.
All right.
The other one is Luka.
Oh. That would
I
make
see
sense.
that.
He always has the ball.
Yeah, I see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
By the way, Westbrook averaged 4.8 turnovers a game this year.
Wow.
I figured Westbrook was one of them.
Did you see the beginning of the season? It was awful.
He only played
Trash.
65 games and had over 300 turnovers.
Another day at the office for a Westie.
Yeah.
Yes. You know who led the NBA in personal fouls?
Patrick Beverly.
Iguodala.
No. This guy is a starter on his team.
LeBron James.
No.
Yeah, right. He gets like one a game. Or am I talking?
Booker.
People are shocked when he gets like 3 fouls.
Yeah.
LeBron, what?
Yeah.
LeBron?
LeBron's
He-
also shocked when he gets 3
That's what I
fouls.
was getting ready to say. LeBron's shocked too. He's like, oh, what? I'll take my headband off.
Who was it?
Dylan Brooks.
Okay. The guy from the Grizzlies?
Yep. All right. So we went an entire episode where nobody scored a point. So I guess a reminder of what the scores are is such. Ray with 17. Alex and Doug with 34. Drew with 35. And Wade with 46. Same score as the end of 2 straight episodes. It's kind of pathetic and disappointing. So we'll try and do better next week.
There were some good questions, though.
Yeah. I feel like I learned shit during trivia.
Yeah.
Yeah, some guy named Bob led the fucking league.
Yeah, I still don't remember his last name.
Field percentage and free throw
Carmelo's
percentage.
name in middle school, Tyrone.
Tyrone.
Useless facts from TikTok.
No, that's the one on TikTok. This was 10 minutes before trivia, and Drew forgot a question. TikTok stuff is
Well,
embarrassing.
hold on. What did
NFL
Carmelo
call
franchise-
himself in middle school.
What did you put into
Tyrone.
Google to get that to come up?
Random NBA facts.
I,
The stuff
feel
the stuff I get from TikTok is
I feel like that
embarrassing
shouldn't even be an
NFL
NBA fact.
franchises.
That's just.
You need to get us to TikTok for next week.
I don't even know.
Do you want whose franchise do you want me to embarrass? Because the Bengals, they haven't sent a text message, and the Lions have more Madden covers than they do playoff wins since '92.
You said they haven't sent a text message.
No, the
saying
Bengals
that the
won.
Bengals have won a playoff game. Because the text message came out the year after they won their last playoff game. So no one has ever sent a text message saying, hey, my Bengals won a playoff game.
Which is so.
Andy Dalton's like 0 for 4. He got there, just always failed.
Well, he got there, and then like 2 years he didn't play. Like the team got there, and then like AJ McCarron had to play in the playoffs.
Yeah. They were actually really good a couple years.
Yeah.
No, there's no.
Not this year.
Oh, dang it. I just thought of another TikTok. I'm going to say it right now, though. The Chargers had the number 1 offense and the number 1 defense. Didn't make the playoffs.
I feel like that's not true. They had the number 1 defense.
Yeah,
Offense.
number 1 offense and the number
When?
1. I don't remember which year it was, but I saw it on TikTok. I'll look it up. It was with Phillip Rivers. But yeah, that number 1 offense, number 1 defense. Didn't make the playoffs.
I feel like that's impossible.
Wow. I mean,
Yeah.
I thought about last year. I was like, I don't
so
think that's true.
if you score more points than everybody in the league and
you
don't
hold
allow
them.
you allow the least amount of points in the league, how do you not make the playoffs?
Right.
How
Unless your special teams just really suck.
They have to really suck.
I'll
like
say.
really, really,
Well, I guess
really suck.
you could be on how they rate number 1 offense, number 1 defense.
that's true.
Might not be scoring offense.
I have like yards or something.
It was
Yeah.
2010.
2010.
I still am befuddled.
Yeah, I don't understand that one.
Wow.
Whatever. End the episode, Alex.
Well, we appreciate you tuning in for our George Gervin episode, as anticlimactic as it might have been.
We didn't talk about George Gervin for the last 30 minutes.
That's true. And we would appreciate it if you tune in next week for the Bob Cousy episode. It'll be another old guy, even older than most of the guys we've been talking about. So we appreciate your listen, and tune in next week for Sports the Nemo Way.